Hey guys, Joe from J&M here. This week we have 2 large sidewalks and 2 large sets of steps. So stick around while we excavate it, frame it, lay rebar, and pour it out. Thanks guys. Let's see how the job goes. This job was pretty straightforward. Just a whole bunch of sidewalks and 2 sets of steps, large steps. It was kind of hard breaking this part out right here because I couldn't get the breaker directly close to the garage that's here, and I didn't want to roll onto the garden there to make it reach, so we just broke the edge and then kind of pried it up. Since it didn't have rebar or wire, I wasn't too concerned. Brought the machine in, we loaded it up by hand. I wanted to minimize the destruction to the garden in this area. We did do a lot of damage to it because we were going over it a lot, walking over it a lot. The day of the pour, we went over it a lot. But every chance that I could avoid it, I did. This sidewalk here was about 2 feet wide originally. We ended up adding an extra 4 inches to either side. Digging out this area right here where the machine's at, taking these railroad ties out, all the mulch, because this is where we were going to have the first set of steps. Since we had 2 separate large areas that we were working in, there was a lot of jumping back and forth with the camera. So there was a couple shots we missed because we would go to the other side, start working on something, and then forget the camera on this side. But we took enough shots to get a pretty clear view of everything, give you a good idea of what went all on. First day, we ended up framing the sidewalks, excavating everything. We came back 2 days later, finished framing the stairs. And then after that, we came back 2 days later and poured it out. All in all, I mean, it was more tedious than anything, just making sure all the levels are good. But it came out pretty good. We all worked together on this, knocked it out pretty quick. We had to be careful under the walkways on that side and this side. There was a power line going under so they could control their front gate. Apart from that, all this was straightforward, and we had amazing weather. It was cloudy and cool the whole time that we're here. And with these long 2x4s and 2x6s, I mean, we knocked it out. On that note, people have been asking us, what do we do with the high cost of lumber? I mean, a lot of this can be reused as long as you take care of it, store it well. So, but yeah, it's gotten up there, that's for sure.
Uno y luego ahorita voy a medio. Espérate, vos te caes, Chicago, espérate. Aquí no anda embarrada, cabrón.
Aquí no hay apuro, acuérdese.
Al contrario, le doy carrilla yo a él.
When we were framing on this property, we wanted to make sure that the concrete didn't cover the siding, so we just did the thickness of a float. Ideally, you want to be a few inches under, but that didn't lend itself to it. But we managed to leave a tiny little gap so it wouldn't retain water. This was the second day we came back. The sidewalks had already been framed. We started knocking out the steps, make sure we dedicated a whole day to it. On this set of steps right here, we wanted to flare the very bottom side of it, just a little bit on either side. So we ended up using a piece of plywood on the bottom two steps just to be able to bend it and start that flare. The top one stayed straight, and it was just 3 steps. It wasn't much of an incline, but there was enough there to add some steps and needed the steps. And on that our other side to the left of this path was more of a sidewalk ramp down so they could roll equipment down from the garage. Remember to put these under these. So now what we're using, guys, is fiberglass reinforced rebar. We're changing it out instead of steel, not only because of prices. It is stronger, lighter. It's a little bit more delicate with handling. You need to be careful. You don't want to touch fiberglass and then touch yourself. But all in all, let's see how this all works out. This other side was a little bit more difficult than the other one. There was a much larger incline. We ended up leaving the bottom step about 8 inches tall. It gave the customer room just to backfill it and build it up at the bottom there since there was room. And besides the little flares at the top, it was pretty straight. They did get wider, but it was straight. It wasn't flared out like the other ones. And we ended up connecting this whole side around to all the other sliding doors. It ended up looking really nice. You'll see later in the video how they came out. I'm glad the way we ended up designing these, and the customer agreed to it, so I'm glad they went this route.
Yo mantengo el perro, Cata. Ahí voltea uno, toma un puestito, una tiendilla. Y me dijo, a poner a hacer qué, de qué o qué, señor, no le entiendo ni madre. Nos está dando una sola, digo, nos vamos a hacer algo. Buenos días.
All right, guys, we got it excavated, we got it framed, rebar is laid. All that's left is the pour. Hopefully you guys have liked what you've seen so far. Leave us a like, subscribe. See you tomorrow at the pour. So you guys can see we're using that new fiberglass rebar. The one thing I don't like about it, it moves around a little bit, so you have to reset it and put it in place. But from what I heard and from what I've seen, this should be much better for our customers' jobs, keeping the concrete together a lot better because it's stronger than steel. You can see here we use the rattlestick on every bit that we poured here. We also use that Makita handheld vibrator for the stairs. Make sure it was nice and clean, easy to finish after we would pluck our forms off to do the faces. You can see we had some trouble getting around the corner here, so we had to unload into a wheelbarrow and then finish it the rest of the way. It wasn't that much wheelbarrowing, but it reminded us how much we appreciate that the buggy can just pull up, pour out, back up. But all in all, it came out. We were working with that new rebar, so I would pour out, and then we have to raise it, put the chairs under it, and then make sure it was in the right position. It's stronger than steel. It won't corrode like steel. It's lighter than steel, and now it's actually cheaper than steel. But there's more work to it. You have to use welder's gloves plus a mask when you're handling it. You don't want to get fiberglass in your face or your hands. But all in all, I mean, it works out pretty good. I would pour out into here. We would reach through and raise it up, put some chairs under it. But all in all, we like it so far. This sidewalk was wider and longer than the other ones on the other side, so that rattlestick really helped out here. Going the same way as the rod and then the other way to get a much flatter surface. You run your tools opposite directions just to flatten it out better.
Ya, se lo secó muy rápido. This, and then run off to that side.
Dice que trae muy bien inglés, ¿no? Habla macizo usted. ¿Eh? Habla macizo inglés, digo.
No.
How are you?
How are you?
How are you?
Eventually, we were wrapped up on that other side of the house with the other sidewalk and the other set of steps. We all met up on this side, started working together, started getting a lot easier. Before you know it, there was all 4 of us just bundled up on this set of steps, which, by the way, I know I said it before, but we love how they came out. They looked really nice. We're glad the customer picked the color that she did. It was better than just simple gray concrete, and all in all, it really brought the yard together, connected all the buildings together. It was really nice. Hey, how's it going, guys? Pour went well, 7 a.m. We poured 4,000 with fiber mesh. Number 3 rebar, 2 feet off center. We used that fiber bar. There it is, guys. What do you think? Came out really, really well. We had a great crew of guys. We used the power buggy to get it in here. Steps are looking amazing. Take a look. Look at that. It's looking good. So we ended up pouring this side first. Take a look. Got a nice set of steps here. We flared these ones out at the bottom. Hey, little birdie. No, don't land on my concrete. Nature's always trying to battle us. There it is, guys. Another one done and another very happy customer.